What are the cons of not having kids? No one to avenge your death. You have fewer excuses to use to call off of work. It can make you feel isolated from your peers, whether childless by choice or circumstance. I'm having medical emergencies in my 40s and still need my 70-year-old parents to bring and take me to appointments. Holidays are kinda depressing. I went to watch my nephews open gifts on Christmas morning, then spent the rest of day changing exhaust manifold gaskets, oil change, and a tune-up on my truck just because I had nothing going on. I'm 40, I don't have kids. 4 years ago I moved to a new place and befriended my neighbor. He has one daughter from a previous relationship, his girlfriend has 2 more, also from a previous relationship. They both used to work shifts, so they needed a babysitter for the 2 daughters of his GF. The other girl would go to her mom's place, as she lives really close. 1 year ago, they couldn't find a babysitter for 3 days, and I had to pick up these 2 girls, 5 and 8 years old at the time, from school, help them with homework, have them shower, make them dinner and then put them to bed. They already knew me, of course, as I often hang out with their mother and my neighbor, but I've never kept them alone. I had the best of times. They were a blast. Lovely, kind, would not talk back or make a scene. Nowadays they're 7 and 9, nearly 10. I often go to their place and the youngest gives me the biggest hugs, then just sit on my lap while the oldest just sit next to me, and both will tell me about their day and talk about random stuff. We do lots of activity together and I'm now more like an uncle than just the neighbor. And I love it. I feel loved, I feel appreciated, it just feels nice. That feeling there is what is lost when you don't have a kid. I think it's surely the only pro of having a kid. Lack of cheap, unreliable labor. When I want to impress my wife by doing the dishes, I can't just secretly get the kids to do it for me. My dad's side of the family is enormous. Each independent family unit has 2 to 4 kids, so I grew up with great-grandparent, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and lots of cousins. My mom's side of the family is much smaller. Only 1 aunt and 2 cousins. My dad's side was always much more enjoyable on occasions and holidays. Also much more supportive when it came time for family support. But the real kicker was watching my grandparents grow old. My dad's parents were constantly surrounded by family with a lot of care and support as they grew old, not to mention, many more people to share the expense. My mom's parents had almost nobody. As their friends started to pass away, there were even fewer. My mom and her sister both had busy lives and couldn't spend a ton of time with them. Health, especially mental, deteriorated much more rapidly than the other side. Anywho, that's one of the major reasons that we had kids. People are joy, so we wanted some people of our own to continue the legacy of joy and support. Having to pick up the dog shit in the yard myself. I'm going to put the lonely stuff aside about getting old. The cons is you never get to experience life through your child's eyes. You don't get to see their love and excitement that happens when they see you coming home from work. You don't get the joy and fulfillment of teaching them, spending time with them and watching them grow. I get these are just short answers, but it's hard to really describe the fulfillment when your daughter runs up to you shouting "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy," and then just wants to hang out. In addition to that, they are fucking hilarious. I would like to think that raising my own children I would be able to teach them kindness and acceptance to help rid the world of the stupidity that we can't get over. I likely won't have that chance, at least on my own children, but planning to volunteer to maybe help others' children. Loneliness. As you age and your friends have kids themselves, you will increasingly find that you have no one but your S.O to do things with. It's especially bad in retirement as long-term friends and family start to die off. You could easily find yourself with absolutely no one to talk to. At the age now where my friends from high school are shipping their kids off to college and becoming late 30s empty nesters. basically regaining all of the perceived benefits of us childless folk, but with a whole adult offspring out in the world. That part seems pretty cool, but still no regrets on my end. I have no heirs for my fortune. I have to count on a gold digger wanting to inherit. I'd say one con is that since I don't have to get up early on the weekends to shuttle kids to games and events, I sometimes sleep in later than I expected. You wake up, and you've missed breakfast at MCD's, and have to order from the lunch menu. No hash browns for you. It sucks. Having to listen to all the parents tell you what a joy raising a family is. You always get the "so when are you having kids" question. A lot tougher finding spare kidneys when one goes bad. Your friend pool gets really small because they all have kids and they can't do jack-s anymore. The con is all the fun stuff, incredible, and amazing things you get to live as a parent. I am a mom and in literal awe of this little person and who he is, how he sees the world and what he's making me see in the world every single day. I get to re-experience the world thanks to my child. I now constantly look for teeny tiny insects on the ground and get honest to God excited when I see any, or when I see certain cars, or birds. Not because that's something that came natural to me, but because it's something my child has made me see and appreciate. The amount of absolute belly laughs this little person has given me in his short life is completely unmatched by anyone else on this earth. It's autumn now and I hate the cold, but I am also absolutely giddy that it's starting because now I can press leaves and collect nuts with my kid. Would I give two hoots about that without him? No. But with him it's honestly one of the more exciting things I'm looking forward to in the next month. And let's not even discuss Christmas. My kid makes the season magical for me. There's so much hard shit about being a parent and I would never want to convince anyone to have kids if you're not up for it. Because the hard shit is relentless even when you are 100% on board with being a parent. But my God, is it awesome too, in the most literal sense of the word. According to Reddit, there are none. Having kids is a drain on your finances, your personal well-being, and ruins the planet. I had one because I thought we could provide a loving, stable home to raise someone who could be a productive member of the next generation of people. It's also fun to pass down traditions such as dressing up and trick-or-treating for Halloween, drinking out of the hose in summer, that the proper way to eat ice cream is with sprinkles. I knew I would miss out on that if I didn't. It's sort of intangible and lots of people on here would say it's not worth it. I don't expect them to take care of me when I'm old, but I'd be honored to still be a part of their life when they are an adult. No one to bring you the remote. Well, when I die, I die. Potentially, nothing of myself lives on. I'm also the end of my family line. I have half-siblings, but only I have the name. I think it's best to frame having kids as going on an epic life-changing adventure. There will be glory and wonder and there will be horrors. The highs will take you higher than you ever thought possible, but man, are those lows low. So con, you'll miss out on this epic adventure. But there are other paths to other adventures, ones with their own excitement and peril. Or maybe you're more of the stay in the Shire type. That's fine too. My work makes me not only work more hours, but they also make me work the hours no one else can work because they have kids. Like later shifts and overnights. Also during COVID, people with kids could 100% telework and most still do partially. Since I don't have kids, I had and still have to come into the office every single day, no exceptions. When others with kids ask for vacations days, they always get priority, even if I asked and got it approved first. I've told my work no more than once and they are shocked when I remind them that just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I don't have a life outside work. Eventually most or all of your friends will have kids and you'll be left out of a lot of things. I'm thinking how my Christmas dinner would look like in 30 years. People always telling you what you are missing out on. People keep asking you when you're going to have kids. Heck. My husband and I are in our 40s/50s with 7 adult kids between the two of us, and people still ask if we're going to have more children. People need to stop asking other people about their reproductive goals. I am the estate executor for my uncle. Aunt died 7 years ago and they had no kids, who died in January. Today I went down and signed the papers preliminary to close on his house, which we just sold a few weeks ago. Closing will be next week. After I signed the papers, I went over to the house which, over the last 8 months my family and I have been slowly emptying and working towards selling. I sat in that empty house and stared out at his property and got really sad because, well, this is it. In 4 to 5 days, it will be like him, and my aunt will have their entire life erased from this earth. There's nothing that they've passed on, or rather, I should say down to their children, other than mementos and things like that which we've all taken in the probate process. Also, of course we all have our wonderful memories with them and love them so much, but the entire life that they built together in that house over the last 30 years is about to be completely erased, and I know that our buyers will make it into a wonderful home for themselves, but it just feels so odd, like if we didn't remember them it would be like their entire lives will be washed away. And I know having children wouldn't necessarily always solve that problem, but since none of us live near his property, and none of us can afford the property, no one can buy it, and so it's left to be sold, and it just feels like if they had had children maybe they would have had someone directly to leave their house to, leave their life to, and our family in that spot could continue. So I guess long story short, I kind of see that as a con to not having kids. My mother and father, myself, and brother will all remember my aunt and uncle, and so will my first cousins, but after we're gone it feels like no one will remember them anymore, like they were never here. I don't know, just makes me sad. I work with older people, mostly those with serious and complex medical problems. Very often the role of carer falls to the childless adult child. Due to the perception they don't have anyone else to take care of, thus it's their duty. Well, I'm in my 60s and I don't have kids. The downside is now I don't have any family, I'm the last one left. Can't really think of any except no one to take care of me if I do make it to that age, but that's selfish AF anyway. There is a really cool, super fun kids imagination museum in my town. You can only go if there is a kid in your group. I totally get that this is to keep out creepers and rabble-rousers, but I had just as much fun as my 6-year-old nephew, and can only go when he visits, which is almost never. Always having to answer why you don't have kids yet. As someone who's not married and has no children, it would be nice to have a closely bonded group of relatives to come home to every day. People with kids will never stop treating you like you're strange for not having them. I don't get anything for taxes like the people with kids do. I can't get food stamps. If I need help with a bill, the community center won't help me because I don't have kids. Being told something's wrong with you for not having them yet. It's definitely harder to get time off work. People with kids can get off at the drop of a hat. A couple of years ago I worked with 2 moms who would constantly have to go places at the drop of a hat regarding their kids. I tried to book a half day 3 months in advance and my boss said they would have to see closer to the time.